So you start something, you maybe watch 10 videos, because it's very easy to put it on YouTube and watch all the videos on why to do it, how to do it, when to do it, and the list goes on and on. You do them for a week or two. Maybe you even develop the habit, like going back to Atomic Habits and James Clear. Maybe you did it for 3 months of your life, but then eventually you stop. Hey guys, I'm Ruben Gomez with the Seasonal Movement, and in this video I want to talk to you about mental fitness, specifically how the seasons can improve your long-term cognitive development as well as immediate results that you can feel, think, and act on right away. First of all, I want to get us to connect with what truly mental fitness means, and is that Atomic Habits, for example, James Clear. He talks a lot about routines. Is that mental fitness? Well, when you create routines that are incorporating mental activities, then yes. How about other subjects like meditation? Is that a mental fitness? Some people will say it's both mental, spiritual, and physical. How about going for a walk? Is that a mental fitness? So when we're talking about mental fitness, I believe we're truly referring about anything that is good for our brain. Now, doing physical exercise can also be considered mental fitness. So the whole idea is that if we're looking at aging properly, meaning you might be 80 and you will not just be alive, but you will be thriving, we truly have to start considering what are those habits from every single area of our life, including our mind. Now, this is not because the benefits long term, but also there is immediate benefits that can be experienced when our routines implement mental exercises. Now, mental exercises can come from any single direction and from any single angle. You can start by your body, or you can start by your brain, or you can start by our breathing. You can start by many different ways. But the common denominator when it comes down to not performing them is number one, awareness. Not even knowing that they are important. Maybe you are already past that, and that's why you're watching this video. You know the importance. But then secondly, one of the reasons that we don't perform them is for a lack of consistency. So you start something, you maybe watch 10 videos, because it's very easy to put it on YouTube and watch all the videos on why to do it, how to do it, when to do it, and the list goes on and on. You do them for a week or two. Maybe you even develop the habit, like going back to Atomic Habits and James Clear. Maybe you did it for 3 months of your life, but then eventually you stop. So I can talk to you about all kind of mental exercises. I can talk to you about all kind of routines, but what I want you to get is the importance of understanding the big picture. Within the big picture, inconsistency will always be part of it. We are not perfect beings. And even if we were, I want to bring a spin to it. And is that if you create a routine where you implement exercises that improve your mental brain capacity or your body, but you don't really understand how the environment has such a subconscious impact in how you feel, think, behave, and how your day flows very differently from one time of the year compared to another, inconsistency becomes the end. Meaning, you don't see how you can support a routine that implements those behaviors for a specific season or a specific time of the year, but then you miss how the transitions of seasons and lighting patterns and social environments and our own desires or own activities shift dramatically. When that shift happens, you are most likely to drop those behaviors that you wanted to start with. So what is important to understand is that inconsistency has to be part of the plan. Now, I obviously bring the seasonal perspective because that is a way that we can identify certain patterns throughout the year based on the environment, which is the social environment, the external environment, what we call the weather. You can go into detail as far as the lighting and the temperature, but also our internal environments, because our body is the casing of our brain. So when that environment changes, we're going to react differently. And our routines should align with it. So that's the first thing I want you to understand, is that disruption is constantly happening. Disruption is something that you're going to experience throughout the year. And unless you plan for it, you are not going to be able to hold on those behaviors long term. So that brings a question then. How can you implement consistency when inconsistency is part of the plan? And I think the answer comes to truly understanding what your routine is going to be affected like during those transitions, during those different times of the year. Once we become aware and start understanding how our social demands vary, how our feelings and how our energy levels vary, then we can truly start implementing mental exercises that are specific to that moment and that time of the year. Before you think that is too much work, I have to also explain that this is a cycle. The yearly cycle repeats itself. So once you figured out the pieces and the patterns throughout the year, all you have to do is rinse and repeat. If you follow a process like I do, which is that as I develop those routines, I document and I perfect and then I improve. And as next year arrives, I just pull that up. And chances are very little has changed. Then I implement that routine in that time of my life, which involves mental exercises. So let me explain you now that you get the big picture. And we are taking a very broad approach here. We're looking at it from the distance. It gets very micro level because I understand how it all ingrains and how it all works together. But now that we have the big picture, what I want you to understand is the smallest cycle. So the big cycle is a year. Then you have the cyclical medium term cycle, which might be the season. And then you have the next smaller cycle, which will be the week. So we truly want to look into the week. We truly want to understand what time of the year we're into so that those mental exercises are in alignment to what you want to get on that specific season of your life. Let me give you an example. In the wintertime, we usually want to increase our energy. We usually want to increase our motivation. We usually want to increase our performance. So those mental exercises should be in alignment to achieve that. And it's not just mental exercises. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about exercising. We're talking about all sorts of behaviors, which I have the 6 most important behaviors from a neurological perspective that we should be implementing constantly so that we have the better cognitive capacity, so that we have our best energy, so we feel the best and we achieve more with less effort. That's what this is all about, by the way. It's not complicating things for the sake of it. It's to achieve more with less effort. So looking at your week from that perspective, now you can determine if you want to increase your energy or if you want to lower it. And the word energy is the better fitting, but you can lower your energy a little bit or controlling it by grounding yourself. That's a great mental exercise. That's a great biohack perhaps to implement in the summertime. But in the wintertime, that is usually the energy and the natural tendency. So what we want to do is just increase it a little bit. So let me give you an example. Breathing exercises are a mental exercise. Breathing exercises can either increase your energy or lower it depending on how you implement them. So I can give you an example right now. If I hold, I pause, and I let go, that's going to ground me. That's going to basically slow me down. That's going to allow me perhaps to gain clarity. That's a great way of implementing exercises, mental exercises in the summertime. Now in the wintertime, if you're looking at increasing your energy, you can also do breathing exercises. Now those exercises are more prone to arouse your system, to give you energy. And for I'm gonna save myself the embarrassment of doing it publicly, but I do it all the time. And if you know how active breathing to a high frequency works, you're just constantly breathing at very short intervals and very intense intervals. So the point being is that you might go to YouTube and you might find out that breathing exercises are great. And you say, I want to start doing that. And you might start doing it. But once everything changes, you might stop. Well, that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that you might have implement the wrong type of breathing for a specific time of the year. Or you might not recognize that there is a different spin to it that you can implement later on. So you might force yourself into doing perhaps thankfulness routines. That can be a mind exercise, being thankful and writing 10 things you're thankful for. And you do it in the summer, you need to force yourself to do that. because the energy of the season is out there. You want to be out there, you want to be doing things. So you have to really bring yourself down to do that. Compared to the winter time, which is an energy of introspection, there is a lot within us that draw us and within nature. So we are connected to nature. The trees throw their energy down to their roots. The same way we go internally and we start questioning if we're going the right direction. There's a lot of power into it, and I don't want to make this video about it, but understand that being thankful and writing 10 things down every day during the wintertime is a lot easier to do than in the summertime. So again, what is convenient and what draws in that energy at the time of the year, and what will support what you're trying to achieve during that time of the year. And that's really what I specialize on. What I really became obsessed about is aligning my desires with the energy of the season from different perspectives, from traditional Chinese medicine, from circadian rhythm science, from human biology, that will be human biology, circadian rhythms, and from neuroscience. And there are many other areas that you can look into it to really understand how the seasons truly impact the way that we behave, think, and feel. And mental exercises are a great example. So before I finish here, I want to give you another level, which is your daily cycle. So we went from the yearly cycle to the seasonal cycle to the weekly cycle to the daily cycle. When you look at your day, now we're talking about the ultradian rhythm. So the ultradian rhythm is those energy focus link waves that happen throughout the day. And we know that they happen in a 2-hour interval, meaning there's going to be a point during the day that you're going to go up, and then in about 2 hours later, you're going to be down. That's just your focus, your energy, and then it's going to peak again, and then it's going to go down again. And it does that pretty much all day long, at least when you're awake. Maybe when you're sleeping too, I haven't looked into it. I know there is different sleeping cycles, so maybe this is just all about that. But at least when you're awake, that's happening constantly. And this is human universal truth. Google it, they will trade your rhythm. So what we do is that we gotta look into our routine to implement breaks during that lower cognitive attention span. The reasons, again, there are many reasons for it, scientifically proved. The point being is that when you're looking at mental exercises, it's also very important when you place them. So when you keep all those cycles in mind, the season, the week, and the day, now you can come up with a daily routine that is specific for that season, that cycle, that will deliver the result that you're seeking. And you can implement 3 mental exercises at the middle of the morning, lunch break, and afternoon, middle of the afternoon. So you take those breaks during your productive time of the day, and you implement micro mental exercises that lead you towards what you're trying to achieve in that specific season. The example was the breathing, if you can implement that in, and I'm not going to get too micro detail here, but and the time of the day is very important based on the awareness that you have on that specific season. Because in the summertime, we want to calm our nervous system. A nap, a power nap, will be considered a mental exercise in the summertime. In the winter, it can just be considered laziness or self-care. But in the summertime, you might have to force yourself into taking a 5-minute nap. And there is immense benefits. The point being is that how do you get to do that? So we have it stacked. Few mental exercises, few well-being routines, and we create a micro routine for that specific time of the day so that you can go for long times of high production. When you look at the whole picture, again, you can go from the cycle of the year, the season, the week, the day, you're going to produce a lot more on the long term when you are taking care of yourself, when you are taking those meaningful breaks when you need them. Then the times that you're producing, you're going to be more efficient, and you're going to produce more with less effort. Your nervous system is going to thank you. Your cognitive longevity is going to thank you. Your body is going to thank you. So I recommend you to look into it from that perspective. We all know that sleep, like naps are great, breathing is great, meditating is great, thankfulness is great. We all know that even to the point of mental exercises as you age and doing puzzles, and that we know that they are great. But more important is, number one, to plan for inconsistency and to create a routine that specifically involves and incorporates those mental exercises that you want to do on the season of the year that is the most convenient to perform. The rest you save for a different season. And that's when natural novelty, or as I call it, seasonal novelty, happens by inertia. because we have more than three good things to do from a mental perspective that you're not going to be able to do all at once. If you commit to certain mental exercises on a specific season, and knowing that once the season transitions, you're going to look into your routine, and knowing that what you need to be a peak performance on the next routine and to feel better and to feel great is different than the season before, then what you're going to naturally evolve into is into novelty. Every season is a little different. That is the biggest mental exercise that you can implement for your long-term and short-term mental health and your body in general. That's how you learn the most. That's how you create neuropaths. That's how you create connections in your brain. That's how you encourage neuroplasticity. That's how you encourage all sorts of benefits when you create and implement novelty. So the framework by inertia develops that and incorporates that novelty from every single area. I'm not talking just about mental exercises. This comes to exercise in general. This comes to sleeping habits that align with your circadian rhythm. This comes into basically your whole routine, and the way that you live season after season is, in a way, when you look at it from the micro level, it's inconsistent with the season before. But when you look at from the macro level, it is very consistent with the energy of the season. It's aligned with your desires and your objectives and your goals, and it leads you towards living a better life, a longer life. It leads you toward achieving more with less effort. So my call to action is simple. Consider taking that approach and consider following us. Consider giving it a like to this video, because every single video that comes from now on from me is going to be related to the seasons. We also have a school-free community that we go into detail every single season, and I help you build a yearly routine that flows and that makes you achieve more with less. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.